Desinfektionsschleusen in öffentlichen Einrichtungen. Alleine sterben lassen ist Nächstenliebe. Wahre Freiheit findet in der Isolation statt. Selber denken gefährdet das Allgemeinwohl. Impfung ist Nächstenliebe. Nähe vermeiden für immer. Opfert alles der Hygiene. Trennt euch von den Gefährdern. Schützt die Ungeborenen. Verzichtet auf ihre Zeugung. Verratet eure Nachbarschaft.
Leave it to the Europeans to make creepy films. Gave me goosebumps. Be sterile. Comply. In today's video, we cover more corona news. This time, Andrew Cuomo. It appears as if he undercounted nursing home deaths by about 50%. Brian Stelter of CNN tries to get Fox off the air, and China debuts a new, more effective corona test. Anal swabs. Would you get one? Let's get into it. In the last few months, I made plenty of videos trying to remind people how bad Cuomo handled the situation. Nonetheless, he made himself a victory poster, wrote a book on how he handled the pandemic, and won an Emmy for his informative briefings. Meanwhile, he was killing elderly people in nursing homes. Thousands. And now, it seems that the problem was a lot worse than I and many people thought. Let's read. Leticia James, New York Attorney General. Attorney General Leticia James today released a report on her office's ongoing investigation into nursing homes' response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Since March, Attorney General James has been investigating nursing homes throughout New York State based on allegations of patient neglect and other concerning conduct that may have jeopardized the health and safety of residents and employees. Oh yeah, people got neglected to death. Among those findings were that a larger number of nursing home residents died from the virus than the New York State Department of Health's published nursing home data reflected, and may have been undercounted by as much as 50%. The investigation also revealed that nursing homes' lack of compliance with infection control protocols put residents at increased risk of harm, and facilities that had lower pre-pandemic staffing ratings had higher virus fatality rates. Based on these findings and subsequent investigation, Attorney General James is conducting ongoing investigation into more than 20 nursing homes that were reported conducted during the first wave of pandemic presented particular concern. As the pandemic and our investigations continue, it is imperative that we understand why residents of nursing homes in New York unnecessarily suffered at such an alarming rate, said Attorney General James. While we cannot bring back the individuals we lost to this crisis, this report seeks to offer transparency that the public deserves and to stop increased action to protect our most vulnerable residents. She doesn't sound like a New York politician. Nursing homes residents and workers deserve to live and work in safe environments and will continue to work hard to safeguard the basics during right precarious time. Preliminary data obtained by the Office of the Attorney General suggests that many nursing home residents died from the virus in hospitals after being transferred from their nursing homes, which is not reflected in the DOH's published total nursing home death data. Preliminary data also reflects apparent underreporting to the DOH by some nursing homes of residents' deaths occurring in nursing homes. In fact, the Office of the Attorney General found that nursing home residents' deaths appear to be undercounted by DOH by approximately 50%. And it gets worse, because these numbers are atrocious, but Cuomo's response, it's not very good either. Cuomo won't apologize for nursing home miscount, says who cares, were deaths recorded. Now this is a bit of clickbait, but he sort of did say this. Look, whether a person died in a hospital or died in a nursing home, people died, Cuomo told reporters on Friday. My father was in a hospital, got transferred to a nursing home, my father died. My father was in a nursing home, got transferred to a hospital, my father died. People died. Cuomo added, if you look at New York State, we have a lower percentage of deaths in nursing homes than other states. A third of all deaths in this nation are from nursing homes. New York State, we're about 28%, but we're below the national average number of deaths in nursing homes. You know why you're below? Because you underreported, because you undercounted, because you did it on purpose, because you're a joke. The governor also accused Trump advisor Michael Caputo for bringing national attention to coronavirus in New York's nursing homes and using it as a political football. You politicize this almost more than any other politician in the country. All of a sudden, when Biden takes office, open up the restaurants, open up the bars. We can't stay locked down forever. Political football my ass, Mr. Cuomo. And you know, he may be in trouble because now even the media, which elevated Cuomo to almost Fauci status, is turning on him. Check this out. From Jake Tapper, the only semi-respectable person in CNN.
Damning findings in this report.
Well, Jake, this is something that's dogged the governor and his health department for a better part of a year now. And essentially, the Department of Health publicly.
Now they're saying this dog for over a year now. A couple months ago, they were saying this was fake news. Unbelievable, CNN.
Posted numbers on nursing home deaths today. If you look at that, it counts about 8,700 people. So this AG report suggests thousands more residents whose deaths are already recorded should be reflected in those nursing home statistics. This is a big difference and matters, as you can imagine, for those families who, for nearly a year now, feel like their loved ones weren't properly accounted for by the state. And this is also, of course, important for some state lawmakers, Democrats as well, who for months have been demanding from the state an accurate count of how many nursing home residents died from COVID-19. Now, in addition to what you already mentioned about the March order by the Cuomo administration, a controversial state health department report released last summer said the March memo wasn't to blame for an increase in deaths. But this AG...
No, because Cuomo was burning the Trump administration. It's not my fault. It's the orange man. It's the orange man. What are they going to do now? They don't have that excuse.
Report questions all of that, saying the guidance issued in March put residents at risk. Quote, nursing home implementation of some guidance may have led to an increased risk of fatalities in some facilities and may have obscured data reported by nursing homes.
May have. We're all just being legally correct. We know what happened. And, enough with Cuomo. Let's stay with CNN and Twitter. But let's go to Brian Stelter, because he's trying to, get Fox off the air, but at the same time saying he's not trying to get Fox off the air. Gaslighting you in real time.
Dishonest cries of censorship are filling Fox's airwaves with charges that these guys right here are being suppressed. The word censorship's been invoked almost 400 times on Fox this month alone, and more than 300 times on Newsmax. Post-insurrection, a book publisher decided that it did not want to be in business with Senator Josh Hawley. So he's been on a national TV tour claiming he's muzzled. And Tucker Carlson is telling viewers that this network, CNN, is trying to force Fox News off.
When you lose a book deal because you get canceled by cancel culture, you are being suppressed. Don't listen to this motherfucker.
The air, which is patently false. It's as predictable as the sunrise. Democrats win elections, and then Republicans say they are being silenced. But while some cry cancel culture, let me suggest a different way to think about this.
Okay, please.
A harm reduction model. Most people...
Daddy CNN is going to prevent you from being harmed. Thanks, Brian. I needed that.
Want clean air and blue skies, and accurate news and rational views, and then in that healthy...
Accurate news? You don't fit in your perfect world, brother. You don't fit. Sorry.
Then we can have great fights about taxes and regulation and healthcare and all the rest. The vast majority of people can agree that disinformation about, let's say, the pandemic is unhealthy. It's harmful. So how can that harm be reduced? Well,
the problem is, who decides what is disinformation? The WHO had one position. A couple months later, they changed that position. So in the middle, all the people who were right, talking about the latter position, they got banned. They got silenced. They were right all along. So maybe get your hand off the trigger when it comes to disinformation.
Tech platforms say they are removing lies about vaccines and stamping out Stop the Steal BS and QAnon cult content.
Interesting how he forgets to mention Russiagate, right? That one doesn't count.
Now, do these private companies have too much power? Sure. And many people would say yes, of course they do. But reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. And algorithmic reach is part of the problem. Now, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg seems to agree. Here's the headline from Politico. He's pledging to depoliticize Facebook. Zuckerberg says one of the top pieces of feedback that we're hearing from our community is that people don't want politics and fighting to take over their experience on our services. Well, he's several years too late, but...
You know how to fix that? Ban everybody who thinks one way, and then nothing to disagree about. Fantastic. Good one, Zuckerberg.
But that is a real issue. And he wants to now try to clean up Facebook. But this is bigger than Facebook. This harm happens all over the place. In the words of a recently fired Fox News editor, news consumers are both overfed and malnourished.
This guy said, reducing a liar's reach is not the same as censoring freedom of speech. Freedom of speech is different than freedom of reach. Now that sounds like communist China, doesn't it? Do you want to become China? Because I don't. You know what they do in China? Let me show you. New test. Woo, woo, woo. Very nice, I like. Why is he twisting it so much? In and out, quick, bro. What the? So that's the new effective corona test. And it looks like some people were forced to take it. Forced. Can you imagine? I know I'm not going to northern China anytime soon. I wasn't planning on going to China anyway. But now, I'm sure it's not happening. I really hope the WHO does not start recommending those tests because knowing Fauci, he's going to follow whatever they say. What do you think was more disturbing? The Cuomo deaths or the Chinese exams? Or CNN's gaslighting? I don't know. It's a hard vote. You don't have to decide. You can go with all of the above. That's what I'm going for. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. See you next time.